There's a special night in the lives of all of us. A night to be beautiful, to be desirable. A night we can break all the rules and make our own. Prom night. Tonight, someone has come to the prom alone. Someone who watches in the silent corridors.
It's May. You know what that means? It's the prom season. So,
I said, well,
I'm gonna leave this in there. That was a good one. I'm like, what? I know it's been a long time since I remember prom season, but Jesus, I mean, I'm glad we picked this movie to talk about to kind of get into prom season. Hopefully, put a little scare in some people. But after watching this film, I don't know if you're gonna be scared or be like, what the hell I just watched. And ironically, this movie is 45 years old.
damn. Wow. Yeah, you're right. Holy crap. That's
1980, and Jamie Lee Curtis was it's like 2-3 years removed from Halloween.
yeah, 2 years. This was like I like to nickname this period the Scream Queen trilogy trifecta for her because she did Halloween, Prom Night, and Terror Train, which I don't know which came first, Terror Train or Prom Night, but those three films back to back to back, So she was riding the horror express for sure during this time period.
And then she did Trading Places.
A little bit of a different film.
Oh yeah, she went a whole different way with that one, but that is a good movie. So if you never watched Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, definitely watch it because that movie's actually pretty good. It's a horror of its own. In a way,
Yes.
you think about it, let's talk about swapping, like lives. But hey, digressing. And ironically, we talked about the mother in the last film, Night of the Lepus. If you haven't watched it, definitely watch it. It's a good Easter movie. But now we talk about the daughter and prom season.
Woo-hoo.
So it's about
I gotta keep doing it.
So at a high school senior prom, a mass killer decides to go after 4 teenagers that were responsible for the death of Robin Hammond. But before we dive into this film, which had Leslie Nielsen, which I totally forgot he was in this film.
Very weird to see him in this movie.
And very irrelevant in this film.
Yeah, he wasn't needed. His whole entire section of the movie could have cut that out. Wouldn't have made a difference.
No, I mean, I didn't understand what was the point of him. Even when he's walking around the scene where, his daughter,
right
in the building, that just didn't make any sense to me.
It's just
he's
now
talking to his head. And yeah, so, before we dive into the film, because we're talking about prom night, my boy Radar, what do you remember about your prom night?
Well, I was a nerd, so there wasn't any extracurricular activities after prom got over. It was just it's prom, and my date was not my wife, so but it was more of a friends type deal for my junior prom than for senior prom. It was my actual girlfriend at the time, but very religious. So it was a nice good night kiss when midnight rolled around, and it was like, okay, I guess that'll do her. So it was pretty boring on my end. But I'm curious about you, JR, because I know you're kind of a party animal. So
well, ironically, I couldn't go to my prom at the time because my date got suspended from school. So it kind of ruined it like 2 weeks to prom night, and she got suspended. So I had no date. And I was like, you know what? If I have no date, I am not going. But I ended up going to my girlfriend at the time, who later became my wife. I went to her prom. And the funny thing was, when I was there, I kind of met up with a buddy of mine who went to school with me. So it was kind of fun to seeing a familiar face. But, one thing I didn't do is have a dance off. This prom to get even with somebody who was trying to, hit on my girl because we'll talk about that later because I really got to talk about that scene because it just killed me. But like, let's talk about this opening sequence of this film. Like, I mean, what did you think about the opening sequence that led to the death of Robin Hammond?
Right. I feel like the opening sequence is probably the creepiest part of the movie. And like, yeah, I don't really feel like the rest of the movie is very scary. It doesn't feel like a horror movie in a good chunk of it. I don't know if you feel that same way, but like the opening scene set up pretty well. And the thing is that like this movie has good bookends. Unfortunately, there's the rest of the movie. It's
this movie.
It's so like it's like someone literally had a beginning, like they were like, this is a great beginning and this is a pretty solid end. And they went, oh shit, now I got to write something in the middle. Whatever. And just lost interest. Do you feel the same way about the opening sequence?
Yeah, I always said this in movies, in horror movies especially. Kids are creepy as fuck.
Yep.
And I find kids more menacing than adults in these movies. But yeah, that whole game, the killer's gonna get you, kill.
Pretty creepy.
And it is very creepy. I'm sitting there like, wow, these kids are really fucked up and disturbing. And I mean, what kind of game that you go in? The whole point is to get somebody to get scared enough where they literally fall out a window.
Yeah. Wrecked.
And not for nothing though, but when I was watching this, the only thing I thought about is two things. Is one, all right, so wow, this film kind of like reminds you of those films like I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Right.
Let's keep the secret. So like, all right, so this is where they might have gotten, their idea a little bit of. I'm sure other movies did the same, but
right.
It's like, yeah, it was kind of creepy, and those kids were just. I mean, first of all, I'm sorry. I would never have gone into that building if I was Robin, but
no, that building's creepy too itself. I don't know where they found it, but good for them.
Yeah. I mean, and then to top it off, and she goes in there and gets involved in the game, and then she meets this little prick called Nick. We'll talk about it more in the film because that fucker, Jesus. If you want to, I'm sorry, that was a villain in this film. Fuck that kid.
Yeah.
But let's fast forward. We have 6 years, I believe, passed, and kids are now in high school. So we have this mass killer that starts stalking them, kind of a little bit prior to, the prom night. I mean, what did you think of the mass killer itself?
I mean, he's fine. It's so difficult because like there were some mighty good slashers that came out around this time. Like, distinctive features of these slashers. You have Michael Myers, which ironically Jamie Lee Curtis was in that movie. You have Friday the 13th, which part 2 I think came out a year or two after this one, but then you have Freddy only 4 years afterwards. And there's a huge slew of just like slashers happening on that. They're just there. This guy's just there. And I don't know how much you feel about like the kills themselves, but like kills have to be a good part of a slasher. How do you feel about the kills in this one?
I think they were lazy as hell, man. I mean, I don't know what the budget was in this film, but it just felt like it wasn't enough money to actually get good kill scenes out of it.
Right.
Like this killer, I'll be honest, he reminded me of Ghostface. And I'll tell you why. Ooh. One of the things about Ghostface in the original Scream was he kind of tended to get beat up a lot.
Yeah.
This killer got beat up a lot, man. I'm sitting like, how's this guy? He's more menacing in the freaking photo we have behind us.
Right.
He was in the whole film. And to top it off, he did phone calls. So I'm sitting there like, all right, was this another film that probably inspired Ghostface a little bit, even though this killer was very clumsy. I mean, I didn't like any of the kills. I expected so much more, and those kills were just like the perfect kill would have been when I forgot which character it was. I don't know if it was Kelly or Jude. I apologize for mixing up the characters, but when they're in the van and she's having sex with that guy or trying to have sex with that guy, and then he opens up the door and it just starts waiting on her face. Right, all right, that would have been a perfect time to actually show something happening.
Right.
Instead of an over shoulder shot of the guy just sitting there watching the girl get her face stabbed in.
Right. Which it does seem like they also, I don't get it. It seemed like they were trying to go for like maybe a PG rating or something. And it just doesn't make any sense because it's like, you know what you are by this point. And there's like, I know there was at least like 5 or 6 other slashers that came out in 1980 alone. And most of them do not skimp on the kills. Like, I forgot if The Burning came out exactly in 1980, but that one certainly doesn't skimp on it. And then there's another one called Final Exam, where it's like, there's some creative type kills in that one too. And it's just like, you are getting outclassed.
Yeah.
By all these other, and of course, the original Friday the 13th, you're getting outclassed in terms of kills by all these other slashers. And it's like, what are you doing?
And it was like, you didn't, like, all right, so let's take that scene with the van, because for me, that was the most comical scene.
Right.
So here are in the van, and she's trying to get him turned on. And the guy goes, "Oh, I got to smoke more weed. I need joint." He goes out to freaking piss.
Yeah.
Now, the way they like directed and did the cinematography is, the guy's taking a piss, and the killer's literally like, I would say 2 feet away from him, looking through the bushes.
Like, yeah.
Which I'm sitting there like, how could you, I know the guy's dressed in all black. How could you not see this? How can you not sense this?
No. Yeah, like sense it in any ways. Even if you're like, inebriated. For the love of God, like I could sense someone 2 or 3 feet away from me.
And then what they do is she goes, "Oh, let's go over there and we can have sex out in the open." Then they walk over there. They lay down. He goes, "I need a joint." And they get back up. That whole scene was like, what the fuck was the point of walking over there?
No point.
And they go back in the van. And this now, that whole scene with the killer trying to kill him was one of the most comical things I've ever seen. Because this dude did donuts. It could have took off at any time. Decided to do donuts. Couldn't knock the killer out the window. I mean, I was laughing. I laughed. I rewinded a couple of times. And then to make it even more comical, when he goes off the cliff, it was maybe like a 5-foot drop.
Yeah.
Blows up.
Yeah. That whole oh man, that's just it's a perfect example of, like, again, just not measuring up. And it goes to show like the quality that was kind of put into it, where it again, like, I know a lot of the other slashers that came out this year, they were like, this is what's hot, cash grab time. But I feel like they at least understood what people wanted. It seems like the people who put Prom Night together had no clue whatsoever. And they got Jamie Lee Curtis and went, well, we're golden.
How you gonna let Nielsen do nothing with him?
Yeah, it's wild. And it's like, I'm pretty sure around this time, like, Leslie Nielsen was still like a serious actor at this time. But I mean, like, he was fairly well known. Like, he had been in a bunch of stuff. So it's like, I'm sure a good chunk of the budget went to him, and you did nothing with them?
I think most of the money went into that car explosion, because it's like, we have to do something that seems like a shocking. Yeah, we'll have a guy drop 5 feet in his car, and then the wheel actually touches the ground and then blows up afterwards. I'm like, and yeah, it's like you have, and the thing is, this movie had the pieces to be very good. And when, for example, I told one of my coworkers, "Hey, I'm reviewing Prom Night," and just to show you how this movie gets overlooked for quite a few reasons, he's like, oh yeah, that's a girl when she gets all bloody on stage. I said, no, that's Carrie. But the fact that people confuse the movie Carrie, with Prom Night, I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He goes, I didn't see that one. I said, well, Jamie Lee Curtis was in it. He goes, when you say Prom Night, I think Carrie. I'm like, I can see that, especially
fair.
Yeah, it's very fair. And
yeah,
and you felt like they took bits of Carrie too, because Wendy, who is the antagonist in this film, who, I mean, not for nothing. I mean, when the scene where they're looking to get back at Nick and Jamie Lee's character, Kimberly was her name. So they're backstage and like, oh, we're gonna get them back. I mean, it was so like they ripped off chunks of a lot of movies to make this movie, and it just totally missed
across the board.
Before we go into like the last minutes of the film, I gotta ask you this question. So let's say you're Nick.
Yeah.
And you sit there and you're realizing that, and I'm sure because there was a moment of film where he wanted to do a confessional. The fact that you're dating the sister of the girl you helped murder.
Yeah.
He's like, I mean, what did you think of his character? Because I got to get into his character. His character pissed me off.
I mean, what a shitbird, because again, you're right. He's accomplished to murder, or, I don't know how much of the blame you want to pin on each individual one of those 4 fucks, but I mean, he's part of it, certainly, for sure. And the audacity to go like, let me hook up with a family member of the person I killed and just like keep on trucking, and just, God, and he's, I don't like his character at all, like personality wise either, and I know you got some strong feelings. I see them boil into the surface right now. About to blow up on this man.
Dude, if I was in high school, I would have beat the shit out of him just because he was such a prick. And then like, all right, so what are you gonna do? You're gonna wait till like after you celebrate prom night, so tell her afterwards. Yeah, I just let I was there when your sister died. I kind of goaded her to help climb on the table there and fall out the window, because if you think about it, when they were kids, when Robin went into the building, he's the one that snitched her out.
Yeah. I mean, for sure.
This little fucker, man.
Yeah, and again, just waiting 6 years to and getting romantically entangled with your victim's sister is just like, there's not surprisingly not many instances of it happening in cinema, but yeah, it's right up there in terms of douche moves.
Pure dickhead, man. That dude's he deserved to get killed, unfortunately. But let's dive into this now. I gotta be honest. This is where I thought the movie would pick up.
Yeah.
And now, leading into this question, so we're finally at prom night, and one by one they're getting killed off. And that's another thing, is you got a guy walking around with a little hatchet.
Yeah.
And dude can't kill Wendy a bunch of times. I mean, but prior to this, so the Wendy character was in love with Nick. She wanted Nick the whole time. He broke up with her to be with Kimberly. She recruited the school dumbass bully, who the dude was basically borderline committing sexual assault every time he came around.
Yeah, God. Ugh.
With a mask on. I mean, anyways. Yeah. But it's prom night. Jamie Lee notices that Wendy's there with the bully, and she tells Nick, let's show him what we can do.
Let's show him what we can do. Yeah.
What did you think of that whole scene, man?
Oh my God. It's, again, I'll let you really rag on it. But what I'll say about it is that once again, this is one of the perfect examples that they had no clue what people wanted because it's 1980. Like, disco is dead. And they're like, we need some disco here.
That was a waste of 5 minutes of the film when they could have went on a fucking murder spree.
It is, and it's wild that they like did it for so long. It's so painful.
A whole song. They actually did it from the beginning of the song to the end. Who does that?
I have never. Well, twice. I've seen that happen twice in a movie, and all of those other movies are also really, really bad.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something where it's not horror, like, Grease or Pulp Fiction, yeah, definitely, I can see why those scenes happen. You're doing this in a horror movie.
No, and when you're dragging already, when you're lagging behind, like, it ruins it flow's already bad, but now you're gonna drag it down even worse, and then the tone. What are you guys going for here? What are you trying to do? Listen, it's like they forgot that there was a slasher.
To top it off, this came. I mean, I'm sorry, a lot of us watched Saturday Night Fever. It's a great movie.
Great movie.
Great movie. But if you're gonna do a disco scene, at least try to take some of the moves from there, because that was some of the worst dancing I've seen for a disco dancing. I'm not saying I'm top of the line dancer, but if you're gonna do a scene, that was just so bad,
atrocious. And I mean, it's not like I can think of the dance scenes and Creepshow and Friday the 13th Part 4. Those dances where it's like you have Ed Harris doing whatever weird thing he's doing on the Father's Day segment, and then Crispin Glover's just being himself. But those are endearing because they're just so wonky and weird, and you're like, yeah, this kind of fits for what it is. But not here in Prom Night. Not at Prom Night.
All right, so let's talk about Prom Night, the last final minutes of the film and the reveal. I mean, what did you think about just the last minutes of the film and the reveal itself? Did you like it?
I mean, like I pointed out when we started talking, this movie has two bookends. So like the last part of it is certainly better than everything minus the beginning. It's not a high bar to clear though, and I think that's ultimately the issue. It feels like like ordering a pizza and it just gets there and it's just this smushed cold thing, and he's like, sorry bro, here's some free breadsticks. And that's what the ending feels like to me, is the free breadsticks. You're like, I guess it helps, but I mean, damn, I would really like a hot, intact pizza.
Yeah. Yeah, that ending was terrible. And I mean, there's so many things about it. Like, I didn't like the fact that, I'll be honest, that the brother was the one that I felt like they should have did the brother and the mother.
Ooh, okay. I would have liked that combo. And it doesn't help either that it's like we see him once?
Yeah. He has a couple bits in the film, but none of it is important. And the fact that you figure he would tell somebody, then why not be the mother? Because then there's a scene in there where they don't know what the mother's at.
Right. It's very weird. Like we said, like we're talking about the whole family. They clearly didn't know what to do with them. Like, the mother's just out there. Leslie Nelson is in it for some reason. Again, don't know why. And then, the brother Alex, he contributes nothing until the very end. And it's like, well, I don't give a shit that he's the killer.
You know what's the worst part of this whole thing is when Alex is fighting Nick. You figure at some point where your sister's there about to pick up a hatchet, you would remove your mask to reveal who you are. Tell your sister what you saw.
Yeah.
And I would have loved if she would have been the one to kill Nick.
Oof, that would have been. I feel like that would have been a nicer ending because they tried to do like, oh, it's a bleak one, it's this bleak ending, and it's like, not really. Doesn't emotionally hit. I think it does. It would be a better ending
Yeah,
if,
because
yeah. No, yeah. If Kimberly's like, yep, and just like joins in murdering, and then they cover it up or something. I think that's more sinister, and that's cooler.
And it didn't make sense to me when she hit him with that hatchet because you couldn't tell if she hit him with the front of it or the back of it.
Yeah, I don't. This movie has a lot of things that I don't ever see, and one of them is getting hit in the head with an axe and like still surviving a couple more minutes.
It didn't make any sense to me because, like, all right, does he have a concussion? He's just stumbling out, and then you have a cop with a gun in his hand about to shoot somebody that's unarmed. It didn't make sense to me either. It's just a lot of stuff in this ending. I'm like, what were you thinking when you're writing this ending that you just fumbled every single thing? Because that would have been
Right.
all right. So imagine if this is where we would rewrite this ending where you have Alex reveal that it's him under the mask.
Right.
The mom and Leslie Nielsen walking in like they planned all this to get revenge. And then the movie ends with Nick's death. And then they go back to the prom night. And then they go remove the head from the bully from the stage and just go party again.
Go party. Have a good time. A whole school's in on it.
I mean, you could have did so much with this ending. It was just so bad.
It was, and again, it's like there were so many slashers coming out around this time in this year. The one because I don't know the release date of Terror Train. I'm gonna assume it happened later in the year from this one, but that one has Jamie Lee Curtis, and guess what? The reveal in that one is bonkers, and like I like the ending of that one more, and it's fairly solid, like a solid film throughout, and again I talked about the burning. Yeah. The burning is like it has kills in it. It has some pretty cool kills in it. It has gore in it. Is it the greatest one? No, but it's got a super awesome theme. That's just that whenever that comes on, you're like, yeah, So there's all these like different ones coming out that have interesting or cool things about them. Prom Night has none of that.
No,
nothing.
No. I mean, I thought the most exciting part about the ending was the drunk janitor. There's a killer loose. There's a killer. I had a lot to drink. I mean, it was just. I was so mad because I rewatched this and I'm sitting there like, so this is one of the reasons why this film doesn't get talked about much.
Yeah, well, and it's so funny too because I brought up all those other ones, but I knew about Prom Night before the other films because it doesn't get talked about as much as the great ones, but it still gets talked about more than it should. There are other slashers, and I don't just mean from 1980, but across the board, that deserve more recognition. Intruder, absolutely. Put that one in there. Like the few I've mentioned already, put those up there. And yet, when people are like, oh, My Bloody Valentine, also way better. Yeah. But, when people are like talking about stuff, they're like, what about Prom Night? For slashers. And I feel like everyone just forgot how not so great it is.
No, it's not. It almost feels like Jamie Lee Nielsen's like, let's just take a check of this one and it is what it is.
We'll run with it,
I mean, so much potential in this film, and I think, like I said, if you go back and watch Carrie, a lot of the scenes there kind of are reminiscent. All right, did they do an actual ripoff of Carrie and certain things where their intent was, all right, maybe we'll do this. No, we'll change it around. We'll just cut this dude's head off and give everybody 5 minutes to react to a decapitated head on a stage in a high school because it took a while for them to like Yeah, the teacher looked up and looked at
notice.
the head. There's a dude's head, and like they should have like in the 80s were known for like certain like I think Friday the 13th did it when they would decapitate somebody, the head goes slowly in the sky in the air.
Right. You know, like a
They should have did that in this one. It didn't. The
done
freaking
it.
head just shows up on stage, and you're like, "Oh, really?" I mean,
All right.
I want to see the body moving around with the decapitated head just like fall to the stage. Yeah, this movie is
just.
I mean, yeah.
No, they just didn't know what they. Like I said, they didn't know what they were doing. They clearly didn't know what people wanted, and they thought they could cash grab. But it's like you can do that. You just have to know your audience a teeny bit, a little bit, any amount. Please, I beg you.
And you're writing Jamie Lee Curtis.
I
mean, give her more. She seemed like, you know, she seemed like a totally like if this was, and once again, she's playing a high school student.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but these high school students look a lot older than they should have. But she's like, all right, I'm gonna be a different person than I was from Halloween. Instead of being shy, I'm just gonna be this pompous like popular girl competing with the other popular girl, and you know, and not for nothing. That's another thing with Nick. How many times did you catch him flirting with Wendy at the same time? And then here comes Kimberly. Yeah. Oh, Kimberly, and he gets up and she forgives him the whole time. Like,
yeah, like what? You know, it is interesting though. You have all the components. If they just mixed it right a little bit, they'd get there. You know, I can't think of anything that it's like. I can't think of any other movie off the top of my head right now that's like, yep, we have all the pieces. We just didn't execute at all.
Yeah, we're gonna spend most of the budget on the exploding van. Like I said, we'll go back and watch it. That thing fell 5 feet.
It just
and it exploded.
If that happened with cars, like actually that if they were that explosive, good Lord, man, there'd be no one on the highways. Everyone would be dead.
Be clear as highway, but Jesus, yeah, this movie, you know, for those going out for prom season, have fun, take care of yourselves, be careful, but definitely enjoy this lifetime memory you're gonna have, and it's gonna be more memorable than this film.
That's for sure. Maybe, you know, if you don't have a date, stay home, watch Carrie.
Definitely watch Carrie.
Don't watch this one.
Watch this one if you're really wasted and drunk. Which you know, I'm not saying you should be wasted and drunk at home, but watch this one if it's that bad of a night and you want some laughs to clear your head. But yeah, definitely enjoy your prom season, everybody out there. And this is one film that we'll recommend for shits and giggles. That's about
it. There you go. I don't want to bash films the whole entire, like for our whole episode, but this is kind of an easy one to do that too.
Yeah, it is. And if you want a film that has a good premise and it was ruined and you want to be a screenwriter, look at this film and write it how you would do it. And I guarantee you it'll be 1,000% a lot better.
It's hard to be worse.
What now? When did this is like I'm going way back? When did Airplane come out? Because I don't remember on top of my head. Was that in the 80s? No, that was in the 70s.
Yeah, that was in the 80s.
80s?
Wait, was it the same year? Was it 1980? I'm gonna look it up real fast. This is gonna be wild. Let me look it up.
And I'm leaving this in the video because we need to find out when Airplane came out.
Oh my God. It came out the same year.
Oh, what the? Come on, Leslie, man. What were you? I mean, rest in peace.
Okay, let me see. July 2nd. Oh, yeah, wow.
July 18th came out afterwards.
Yeah, this is what that is whiplash. That's got to be whiplash for people.
You go from an epic role as a doctor on Airplane to a role nobody knows you had until you watch the movie.
Oh, man.
Hey, I guess paycheck's a paycheck, right?
Paychecks. It pays the bills.
You got any last thoughts on this one before we wrap it up?
No, we've trashed it pretty good.
We did. And one thing too, if I'm not telling you to be a mass killer, but if you're a mask killer, there's no reason to wear blush underneath your mask.
Yes.
Because I forgot about that. Alex was, for some reason, was wearing blush. Why? Who the fuck knows? But that's why this movie came out, because who the fuck knows? But watch it anyways. Until next time, this is JR with my boy Radar. Don't forget, get his books. He has a lot of books coming, still out. And maybe comment below and challenge him to rewrite this one and publish it. I would love to see Radar's interpretation of Prom Night. Be a lot better than this. And we won't have the same cast. We'll have a better cast. I'm not going to cast, but a cast that they will be put to use in a proper way. So till next time, Horror Fiend TV, the night welcomes horror. Like, subscribe, share, and we still have a lot more coming your way and a couple anniversaries in the fold. But till next time, peace.
Peace.